Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yes.
Yes, Merry Christmas. Everybody.
Merry Christmas out there, everybody. And may all your wishes come true.
What are some Christmases that you remember that were the most memorable for you, Bob, whether it was when you were a kid or in your adult life?
Well, I had some really great ones when I was a kid, but I also had some in my adult life. When I had a family at home, my children were all small, so we had Christmas in Wapato. And then my parents lived out west of Wapato, so we'd start Christmas Eve at my place, and Christmas morning we'd go out to my parents' place in west of Wapato, and then my wife's parents lived in Oregon, so down at Cottage Grove, Oregon. So boy, we'd jump in the rig right after Christmas at my parents' place and head for Oregon, and we get there just in the early afternoon. And so my kids, when they only got one Christmas, they were terribly disappointed. But that was good because they were so excited to have 3 different Christmases in one day. But then when I was a kid, we didn't have much money. We just lived out here. We're just kind of poor folks. So Christmas is so exciting because all the neighbors and relatives would come, and sometimes there'd be 65, 70 people at our place. Well, that gave us a lot of kids to be there and arm wrestle or play with or brag about our BB guns or whatever we got for Christmas. But most of the time, socks, toothpaste, toothbrush, and gloves with an orange and some hard candy in the sock. That was a pretty big Christmas for us when I was really little,
Has Bob Gimlin ever lost at arm wrestling?
Well, never was, but that was a long time ago.
Lone Wolf, would you challenge Bob Gimlin to an arm wrestling competition?
Well, no, I probably wouldn't.
Nor would I.
Go ahead, Lone Wolf. Tell me about it.
I challenge Brian, but I don't know. This guy rides livestock. I mean, rides bulls and stuff, for a living in his younger days. And no, I don't think I'd want to challenge him, but I'll challenge you, Ryan. I'll go with Ryan.
Oh, okay.
Well, I can't do it anymore. But,
Okay, then the challenge is on.
I thought it was terrible to grow up on a farm and work all the time, work, lifting stuff, sand ditches, lift. But it paid off for me as I got in my early teens and mid-teens. I found out that I could bend arms, arm wrestling, and leg wrestling. Indian leg wrestling, maybe you young guys don't understand.
I remember. I'm old enough to know that.
But I was good at both of them because I'm short-coupled and I was extremely strong for my size because I worked all the time. And then when I started bending arms, realized that, hey, all you got to do is use a little psychology and you can just snap them guys' arm right on down. You let them think they're going to beat you a little bit and give them a little bit of leeway there, then pop them down. So I used a lot of psychology on working on them, and I never was beat. But I couldn't do it anymore because I've had both shoulders replaced and broken arms and all that kind of stuff, But I quit even trying to bend arms when I was about 31 or 32 years old because it was just getting to be a little tough for me, but I still had a lot of strength, but I'd already had so many injuries from horse-related injuries. And
I don't think there's still anybody in their 80s that could beat you at bending arms, though. I don't think there would.
I'd put Bobby up against any other 80-year-old.
Well, I challenge people even yet with right arm. Of course, the left arm don't have nothing left in it. But if somebody wanted at my age, 86 years old, wanted to bend with me, I'd still do it just to see if I could do it.
I'd still put my money on Bob.
I'm going with
Thank
you,
Ryan. Thank you.
Lone Wolf, do you have any Christmas memories or stories?
There's just so many, after, Bobby, he's got more memories than I do, but, after almost 60 years, there's too many good ones, but basically the ones that stick out with me is just spending time with our families.
Yeah, see, that was another thing.
My age grandkids now, the kids. Yeah. Christmas is for the kids.
Yeah, it really is, but then as an adult, you enjoy what the kids get out of it. See,
exactly.
That's what I like. Well, what about you, Ryan? Your Christmas, your best memory for Christmas?
I just remember the feeling of being, I guess, 7 or 8, and then that feeling when you wake up and you see the presents under the tree.
Yeah, when you're a kid.
What do we have to do in our adulthood to get that feeling again, Lone Wolf?
Just do it for your kids or your grandkids and just see the look on their faces, and then just remember how you felt back.
Amen. Lone Wolf, that is just exactly what you need. And of course my grandkids, I've got great grandkids, but they're all over the United States, and so I don't really get to have Christmas much with them, because my wife and I don't like to do a whole lot of road trips this time of the year. I'm not afraid to do it, but she is, and so every time that she tells me something, I get the last word. I say, yes, dear.
Smart, man.
Yeah. And I guess a great Christmas for you would be able one day, maybe not this year, but maybe next, and just have everybody come here and see and visit you on Christmas.
Lone Wolf, if I ever win the lotto,
you'd bring them all.
I'm going to bring them all here. And see, I do a lot with Agriculture Museum in Union Gap, and there's an open field over there where we do a Civil War reenactment.
Yeah.
And I'd invite anybody and everybody and put $100 bill in an envelope and say everybody gets an envelope, everybody gets a Christmas present underneath the seat, and then every little kid gets twice as much as the adults get. And I'd say I hope 5,000 or better come or more, and you see, that would be just the number one Christmas for me.
I wish that for you, Bobby, and you know what? I'll try to help you get that.
I'll tell you, if I could go down there and get them little kids, because I'm a kid person, I really.
He's a big kid at heart, actually.
I really am, because I have so much input with the kids. Like when I'm doing the horse things up there, about 50% of them are like 15 and down to 8 years old. So I have a really good relationship with the kids, teaching them the harnessing and driving and whatever I can about the horses and the respect for other people. And I think one of the really good Christmas presents would be able to see people out there that aren't so rude on the highway, that's got a little more respect for the other human beings, because that's what I'd like to see. And once in a while you get somebody that's really polite, and sometimes you get the ones that's so rude they'll cut in front of you, and then if you're a little too tight, they'll flip you the bird for being too close to them, but they were the ones that pulled up in front of you. So I think if they had a little more compassion for other humans, would be a really good Christmas present for me. And and to get together with you guys on Friday, now that's pretty special. And this Friday before Christmas, to be able to talk to the people out there that's listening, that if they'll have a good Christmas and enjoy the kids, the grandkids, or the great grandkids, or the wife, or even girlfriend, they got one.
Or more than.
Just to share fellowship with other people and respect the fact that it is Jesus Christ's birthday, would be just something really special.
Did you get a chance to look over that paperwork, Lone Wolf?
I just got a brief chance to check the very first paragraph out, and it's kind of interesting.
I thought
finish it.
I thought Mel would have probably heard about it right away.
Yeah, he didn't say anything to me. I talked to him a few days ago.
Well, we'll let Mel. We'll relax on Mel.
Well, if Mel don't hurry up and get here, we're going to mark him down for tardy.
Mel's not going to get his Christmas present this year because he's a bad boy.
No, I wasn't able to be here 2 weeks ago. What was the adventure like that you and Mel went on?
Oh,
3 weeks
that's
ago?
right. It was Reggie was here.
I missed that too.
Okay.
Oh, shit. I mean,
Share it.
yeah.
That's what I wanted to hear.
Well, what happened was Mel had got a report from a couple field workers up there in the mountains, up in the reservation.
Yeah.
And actually, there's two employees. They're working together, and they saw 3 Bigfoots. One across the opening, and there was one right at the edge of the woods. And they said they could see one just a little farther back. So they said there was 3 of them. And they were varying sizes, but they were all 8 foot and down to like 6 foot. And I asked Mel, I thought, do you think that was just like a family? He goes, actually, I think they were all males. So Mel and I went up. Actually, it was 2 days after that, and we spent a good half a day tromping through the woods, and we got 2 vocalizations. The first one started out. Hold on a second. It started out, and it was kind of it was monotone, and it was flat, and it was kind of like, ooh.
Good.
It was
Lone
long.
Wolf, that is really good.
It was longer than that.
Really?
And
I was about to say, Lowell, for that long, it was longer than
It
that.
was longer than that. And I'm sitting there, and right off the bat, I'm thinking, did I just hear that?
Well, what lung
And it
capacity, though, they got?
It
Such
did, and that's
tremendous.
just what amazed me. And it did it a second time.
Oh,
And
really?
It did it twice.
You think it was the same one? You think it was?
Oh yeah, same. And Mel and I, we decided, you know what? It sounded like about a quarter mile away to the south and east of us. So we jumped in our rigs and we went down to the very next little spur road down there, about that distance away. And then we went out there, and we got a footprint.
Oh.
I didn't bring my camera, but I just got it on camera.
God, Lone Wolf, that is really incredible.
Yeah. When we went to the second location, we found a footprint, and it was really. I called a couple people up after I got home that night, and nobody really seemed interested. To where I ended up calling Mel, and I talked about this last time. I ended up calling Mel back. I said, "Hey Mel, I just got to talk to somebody about this. That was just too cool." Man,
Yes, I can understand that.
Yeah. So I was still stoked, hours after I got home.
Well, when I
it
heard
was-
about it, I was so excited.
It was bad. It was badass. I mean, it was bad. It was a good trip.
Well,
and,
I mean, how many people ever get that opportunity to be able to do that?
I
But
feel blessed in a way.
Really?
And
Yeah.
just to hear something like that, and I know what it was, and I can't wait till the next time. you
well,
know.
yeah, I guess I'd be the same way. Just jumping at the starting
Oh
gates
yeah,
to get out there.
I didn't want to come back. I could have stayed there, but
Lone
I
Wolf,
got
did you
other
get-
obligations?
Did you guys get an estimate on the size of the footprint?
It was. I got pictures of it, and my boot's a size 12, and it was good. It was a good 4 inches longer than mine. You could see the heel impression where it dug down in the ground, and then you could see kind of the sides of its foot and the toes.
Was it in mud? Oh, I'm sorry, Bob.
No, go ahead.
It
Ryan.
was made when the ground was soft.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask. you.
Yeah, it wasn't hard. It was made during
Yeah.
sometime when the ground was wet. Sometime, prior to that.
Had the ground been frozen or it had
The
been made?
ground was solid when we got there.
Oh, okay.
It was already got cold.
Yeah. But that's just so interesting that you got a footprint.
Yeah. Yep.
That, and after seeing them and hearing them and getting the verbalization,
We didn't see them, but they were seen. And so we got up there after the fact, and we just heard them. So these were two workers that reported it to Mel, and then Mel and I went up.
but they saw it. The workers,
They did. They saw 3 of them.
absolutely. Boy,
So-
now that is really interesting.
I know.
Roughly how far away were the workers when they...
The first one they said was probably 60 yards away, up to
close.
80, then to 100. Yeah, the first one was actually walking through a clearing. So it was out in the open. Then there was one just right at the tree line, and then the third one was just a little farther back where they could see it, just off into the trees.
Were the workers able to tell whether they were male or female?
No, but Mel was the one that told me. He says he thinks they were three males, kind of.
Yeah.
Were these
together for winter, just like elk and deer do?
Yeah.
Were the workers? Did the workers report that they saw them just casually walking, like the sighting that Bob had 50 years ago, or did they say they were running, or they didn't mention, like what were the actions that the
from the report that Mel said that the one out in the opening was moving swiftly, but it wasn't like running. Just how they move quickly. It seems like yeah. Even when it doesn't look like they're running, but
but
I can't even say a jog. It's just a fluid motion, and they're moving.
Well, they can cover ground so incredibly fast, and they don't appear to be running, but they're still covering ground extremely fast. And just to be able to see them out there, is something.
I would have loved to have been. I'm happy that I got out there and got to hear them, but I'd love to have been the guys that saw them.
I would have too. I know it's been 50 years, guys, but I hope I live long enough to see more or some again, and lots of. I'm going to get out. I'm hoping that I stay healthy as I am now, and I can get out next summer some more than I got out last summer. And maybe if I can get out a little bit more and go to some of the places where it's really been a lot of activity, then chances of seeing them are better.
Well, Bobby, actually the places that are really active and chances of seeing them are right here. So you really don't have to travel far. And between you, me, and Mel, and if Ryan ever wants to join us, between at least the three of us, we got to get you up on the res. Mel and I will track down.
I'd like that. And, I don't, Ryan, would you like to get out sometime and do that?
Especially if we had a real recent sighting that, hey, they just saw him a couple days ago. Let's go up. And,
get up there and just, see what we...
A couple days, a weekend.
Yeah. Well, I just, whatever time it was, I'd make sure I'd put everything else behind and go.
Yeah, okay.
Well,
we're definitely going to have to, we're going to have to definitely do this spring because there's nothing better. I got to actually go squatching with Bobo, and there'd be nothing better on my bucket list than to go squatching with Bobby Gimlin. Come on.
Hey, well, thank you, Lawrence. Well, Bobo is looking at or talking about looking at property over on the Olympic Peninsula, which would be fairly close. And he said that he'd stop by my place when he comes through to go over and, search for a place over there to purchase. And so if he does, I'll call you guys and get Bobo and see if we can.
That would be just too bad, Bobby. It'd be Bobo and up here on the res and
be my dream.
What? Okay, great. And on the other side, it'd be cool to go up there on the Olympic Peninsula and join Bobo in his country once
he gets up there.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the Olympic Peninsula. A lot of folks have said, Bob, where would you recommend to go for the most activity? I said, well, the Olympic Peninsula. But they could be 50 feet away from you in that dense growth, and you might not see them or nothing, and it rains so much over there. You got to go out with rain gear almost every time you go out.
Yeah.
So that's the only drawback the Olympic Peninsula is, because the habitat has got everything available for the Sasquatch.
From mushrooms and
everything.
Everything.
And so, but we've got some really. I know the res is probably one of the best places in the eastern part or the central part of Washington.
Yeah.
But up there around bumping has always been a pretty active place. Even early when the Native Americans talked about them being up there before they even started the dam, well, before white folks ever even got up in there, in the early 20s and, well, around 1900. So if they were pretty active up in that area where they used to go huckleberry picking and stuff or deer hunting, But anyway, to me, you get out there, you've got to go out. Well, you guys both know this. I've talked about it, and you know about it, and Mel knows about it. You got to go out with a mindset that you're not really just searching for one to look at, to see, or especially to film. You're going to go out there with an open mind of just appreciating the creation of the
nature around you. You're out there enjoying nature
around
nature.
you. Yes.
Around you, yes.
Yeah,
and you get surprised.
Appreciate the creeks, the woods, everything that
the birds.
Everything that we've been given. If you go out with that attitude, then the chances are pretty good that you might have an encounter with one.
Yeah.
But I was told out quite a few years ago when Mel and I did a talk down at the tribe, and I think it's been about 15, 20 years ago. And there was an elder lady there that she knew me when I was a kid, and she was getting along in her years, and she said, "Bob, come over here and sit down." And I walked over and sat down beside her and said, "God, Mary, it's so good to see you." She was probably 90 years old then, And but anyway, she said, "You guys are going about this all wrong. If you want to get close to a Sasquatch, you go out there and get close to nature, to creation, and enjoy that, and just listen to the wind blowing through the trees and the hawks and the eagles or whatever is flying over, the birds and the squirrels and the chipmunks."
Yeah.
And I said, yes, that's what I try to do, because I don't go out there with an attitude, I want to get a picture of one. I would like to see one again, up fairly close as I was in 1967, But that's something that probably the chances are pretty slim of ever being able to see one that close again.
Yeah, you're actually probably right, which is sad. But you know what? We're going to do our darndest to make sure the best we can to put you in the best position to possibly see one again.
Yeah. Well,
for all of us, not just you, all of us.
Oh, well, yeah, I want
one. I want to see one again too.
Well,
Bobby.
I just appreciate being with you guys.
Oh,
if we could ever get close enough to one to see it, and let them know that we're not there to harm them or to do anything.
With the crew that we'll assemble, we aren't there to harm them. I think they'll realize. I think they'll understand that we're just out here just to enjoy Mother Nature. And you know what? On our trip with Mel, we did notice one thing too: the forest got quiet. Everything shut down. I mean,
I've heard
no
that.
Birds, no squirrels, no crows, anything. It just quiet. And
well, okay. Could I ask you something, Lone Wolf?
Okay.
You and Ryan both. Why do you think that is?
I think because all the other little creatures are on alert, and they're not going to alert him to where they're at. They're going to clam up and hide. I think
so
because
too.
I think birds and chipmunks and squirrels could be actually dinner.
Well, I strongly believe they basically have a mental type interaction with everything out there.
Okay. Yeah.
And then that's why everything goes so quiet. Because, when things change, like when our eclipses and things, some of the creatures out in the woods are very, very quiet. So it's a whole different energy level in the air, a whole different energy level throughout all of our every being. And I think that the Sasquatch have that ability to have that energy level kind of settled way down and respect them of what they are.
I think it has those capabilities over humans too.
Well, I do too.
I think they kind of put a sense of what I want to say, serenity, a calmness.
I've thought that all along.
Lull you into
and that's why I strongly believe that you probably can see them when they want you to see them.
Okay.
Otherwise,
I'll
you
go with
will
that, too.
never ever see one.
Yeah. And maybe you have to be pure of heart to actually see one.
Now you're hitting the nail right on top of the head, in my opinion. You've got to have that feeling right there in your heart and in your head that you're kind of. I'm trying to say something that I know what I want to say. All in one is what I'm trying to say. Like we're all one. Our whole being has got the energy of. The trees got the energy. We have the energy, and if we could get it all together in one being, then we could. I think we could be able to have more connection, more communication with them, and a lot. But that's getting out there a little bit far for me to even understand, and I sure can't describe it to other people. But I've thought about this a lot over the years, of course. I've had 50 years to think about it. And I've thought so many different channels about different things. And I think our Creator wanted us to be kind of all one, all brothers and sisters, and have respect for the creation and have respect for each other to the same magnitude that we have respect for the mountains and the trees and the wolves, the coyotes, the birds. They were all put here for some special reason. And because we're the higher ones, I think they were all put here for us to respect and, do whatever we need to do with them to survive, of course. But, I could just probably go on with nonsense for a long time. But to me, that is what I'd like to see in the future. Instead of people going out and trying to prove they exist, go out there and do the thing where you know they exist and you appreciate them being there.
Satisfy your own curiosity, in other words. Just go out there, enjoy nature, and what happens,
Yep.
and just keep your eyes open and your mind and your heart.
Yeah, I think that's probably going to be, well, there is no secret to it. That would be the way to approach it without fear. I hear so many people say, well, I was up there and I heard some tree knocks and boy, I got out of there. It just scared the bejesus out of me. And I think, why did they leave? Why didn't they try to communicate or show that they weren't afraid and they weren't going to be there to harm anything. They were there just to balance in with nature.
Yeah.
Now, Lone Wolf, let's go back to your and Mel's time that you spent doing some research a few weeks back. Do you and Mel sense the silence and the calmness? And you can't answer for Mel, but do you feel like perhaps you are being watched by something?
I didn't really actually feel the sense of being watched at the time, but just the quiet. I mean, when we first got there, we heard a crow fly over, and then all of a sudden the woods just went quiet. And this is 10 minutes after getting there, and so we split up a little bit. We did some walking through the woods. I didn't really sense the fact that anything was watching over me, like over my shoulder or anything. But I got the feeling that something was there. I had a feeling that there was something out there, not so much watching me, but it was out there. And so I did some wood knocks, and then I did a couple whoops, and that's when we finally got a response back. And like I said, it was off. I'm guessing maybe a quarter mile away. It wasn't real far away, maybe a quarter mile away. I mean, walking distance easy. But no, that's definitely far enough where it wouldn't get the feeling of just, watching over my shoulder the whole time. But I did, as I've watched the shows, the area did look squatchy.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we did get some coyotes chimed up after the Bigfoots went off.
Yeah.
Some coyotes off in the distance decided that they wanted to join in too. So we did get the coyotes after that.
I've heard that in the past. Well, Lone Wolf, do you? How long did you guys stay after you were up there where the wood knocks and the vocalization was?
We were probably up there a total of 5 or 6 hours.
So
the afternoon.
Did the animals start going, the birds making their noise and stuff after a certain length of time, or did it stay just quiet?
It stayed quiet the whole time till we left.
That's what I was kind of wondering. How much, maybe they were still in the immediate area, then you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the one we heard, and if allegedly there was 3, we heard one. Realistically, the other 2 could have been closer to us than the one that talked to us.
Well, it's really hard to tell, isn't it,
Yeah.
with their volume that they've got, and the different males and females and juveniles and stuff certainly have a different volume, but
This was sounding big.
yeah,
Just the lung capacity alone, and like I said, it wasn't real like your big scary growl. It was more like a long sustained note. And
very interesting. So interesting. I'm hoping that I would like for it to be us guys, the crew here,
Yeah.
Ryan and Mel and you and I, and maybe Kyle or somebody that works with Mel, because he's had a lot of experience out there too, and of course you younger guys, you might have to wait on me a little bit if you got too fast going through the woods.
I'll tell you what, Bobby, I'll probably be trailing behind with you. You and me we're watching everybody's 6 back there. They're watching their donkey. We'll pick up the rear.
Do you think do you want to go over the story with Bob from the OPB, that one there? We have time.
Yeah, okay. Maybe Mel's. I thought Mel would be here, but.
Okay, yeah.
You see.
Do you want to hear the story, Bob?
Yes, I'd love to hear the story.
We have John Rossman, OPB. It says, although it's been decades since the Patterson-Gimlin film turned a Northwest legend, Bigfoot, into a household name, the footage and stories behind it still remain fascinating 50 years later. The filmmakers and namesakes of the film are 2 former rodeo men from Yakima County in Washington. One, Bob Gimlin, still lives there. Robert Patterson died in 1972. They shot the footage off the banks of Bluff Creek in Northern California. Bigfoot is seen on film for less than 1 minute, but one frame, 352, has pretty much become the universal symbol for Sasquatch. And that famous giant walking ape is actually a she. Her name is Patty. But what might be most surprising, after a half-century of advancement in film and costume technology, is that this footage has yet to be, officially debunked. Furthermore, it's concrete proof for Bigfooters around the globe that the Sasquatch is in fact real. This is John Rossman from the OPB writing. And then it goes on to say, at this point, I'm as confident as I can be, short of standing on the sandbar with Roger and Bob and witnessed it myself, said Jeffrey Meldrum. Meldrum is a professor of anatomy and anthropology at Idaho State University, and he's known for being one of the few academics to openly study Sasquatch. It's also easy to say, obviously that's a man in a fur suit, until you see it up against a man in a fur suit, he said. So that's the very beginning. It goes on. You guys want to hear more? And then we'll get Bob's comments after?
Sure.
Well, go ahead,
Okay.
Ryan. That's very interesting.
Okay, the film evidence. Jeffrey Meldrum points no further than the Planet of the Apes franchise. The first film came out around the same time as the Patterson-Gimlin film and won an Oscar for makeup. He specifically calls up a scene in the sauna in the 1970 sequel, Beneath the Planet of the Apes. The apes are bare-chested. A few walk around the steamy room. Meldrum says these costumes are at the bleeding edge of film technology, and he's not impressed. They look like big, hairy Pillsbury Doughboys, he said. Meldrum compares the Patterson-Gimlin film, which he shows to his anatomy students. He asks them to point out different landmarks in surface anatomy they see in Patty. They start at the head and they can see the trapezius. They can see the deltoid, erector spine down the back, shoulder blades moving under the skin. The quads contract when they're supposed to contract, he said, almost breathlessly, none of which ever show up in a cheap, off-the-shelf costume. But costume manufacturer Philip Morris claimed just that. Before he died, Morris gave talks about how he sold Roger Patterson the suit seen on the film. His talk, featuring examples of the faked Bigfoot, was featured on a YouTube link that they share in the story. However, the most relevant proof of Bigfoot's existence for some serious researchers isn't easily seen in the film. It's what Patty left behind. Good stuff here from the OPB.
Very good. Yes.
Okay, it continues. It says, the really big footprints. A few miles outside of Sandy, Oregon, Cliff Barrickman dug around his garage, pulling out casts of massive footprints and handprints from seemingly every corner. Barrickman said he easily has one of the largest Bigfoot print collections in the world. Barrickman is best known as a co-host on Animal Planet's Finding Bigfoot. As a professional Sasquatch researcher for more than 2 decades, he's seen a lot of fake Bigfoot prints. But he says the Patterson-Gimlin ones aren't so easily dismissed. The trailing leg of the creature shows a great flexibility in the foot, Barrickman said. There are a few frames there where we see Patty take her heel off the ground, but yet keep the entire forefoot in touch with the ground. Along with the footage of Patty were a clear track of prints that were captured by photo and later cast. These footprints exhibit the flexibility Barrickman was explaining. It's a unique characteristic that Professor Meldrum has researched for years. One of the footprints showed a very distinctive pressure ridge, a push-off that comes about as a result of the very flexible midfoot, he said. To him, this ridge is a smoking gun. He's seen that same unique feature in foot samples across decades and continents. Both Jeffrey Meldrum and Cliff Barrickman admit until there's a Bigfoot body, then all the research and the entire Patterson-Gimlin film would be up for debate. If Patty is just a guy in a furry ape suit, then it's one of the greatest hoaxes of all time, on par with the image of Nessie in Loch Ness. If it's in fact real, then Patty will upend everything we understand about apes and evolution. What is true a half a century later is that the Patterson-Gimlin film turned a Northwest local legend into a global icon. The film has endured because it reminds us that there are some things in the world we can never know for sure. And that was by John Rossman from the OPB.
Hey, very good, Ryan. You know, a lot of people don't know who Dr. Jeff Meldrum is and the research that he's put into it in the 50 years. Well, I don't know if he's been into it for 50 years, but he's put so much time into it. And then Bill Munn's put a lot of time into writing a book. Dr. Bill Munns. Well, I don't think he wants you to call him a doctor. He was a professional costume maker for Hollywood for 30-some years, and he states that he was the best in the business at that time, and he couldn't even make anything that looked like our film footage. He said it was impossible back then, and he said it'd still be pretty difficult to even try and do it modern times. So Bill Munns wrote a book. It's called When Roger Met Patty by Bill Munns, and he did so much work on that, starting out to see if it was a fake, and at the end says anybody with any common knowledge or could see would realize it could have never been faked.
No.
So to me, that book has been, he's did demonstrations of different people, women and men, as a big muscular men, and like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and then model women to show what moves and what doesn't move when they're walking. And so it's just a great thing that Bill don't push his book because he got some static from some scientific people, and they really didn't have a leg to stand on, in my opinion. But my opinion, being as I'm not into science of any kind, is not worth anything, you see, except the fact that I saw the real thing in 1967. So then I can kind of use that as a starting point, for whatever Mr. Munns wrote in his book and so forth. But anyway, folks, I hope we don't bore you folks that are listening out there with this. If you're not a believer in it, that's okay too. And we're not trying to convince anybody that they really exist. I just know they exist.
I agree with you too, Bobby. But I would really like anybody in Hollywood listening to this show right now. I would really like to see one of them costume experts try and recreate Patty.
I would
in today's technology, without computer graphics, without faking it on a computer, actually making a Patty suit and pulling that off.
Well, I saw pictures of that one that they tried to put on up here and put the guy in it, and he couldn't stay in it, he said, because it's too hot. But this guy from Georgia, that made the statement that he sold Roger a gorilla suit or whatever kind of suit, and he couldn't even come close to recreating anything that looked like Patty.
Yeah,
so you
exactly,
see,
my point.
there's so many people that tried to get on the bandwagon back then that said this and said that, but they could never prove anything, you see. And so the film that Roger Patterson and I got in October 20th, 1967, has went through every kind of critical thing that could be brought up, and it still hasn't proved that anything was faked about it. The Russian scientist Rene Duhanin from Canada took it to Russia many years ago, and they studied it for 4 years over there, looking at the different sizes. They measured the different sizes of what happened were in the muscles and the legs and the arms and the shoulders, and how the movement went throughout the body and how the mammary glands moved. And they said, well, what's wrong with the people in the United States? They got to have something wrong with their mind if they could see the film and say that there's a man in a gorilla suit there. So, now this is the Russian scientist is saying this, and Rene Duhanin had probably an inch thick of documented paper that talked about this, why it could not be a false suit with somebody or something like that. So I never did get the opportunity to read all the papers or have any copies of them at all, because Rene was from Canada, and at that time somebody from the United States couldn't even go to Russia. But anyway, folks, out there that's listening, if any of you have ever seen one or been around one, they exist. But there's always going to be somebody try to come up with some kind of a story that might make them a few dollars. And what it all boils down to is money. A lot of these people are trying to make $1 on it, and I'm not holding a thing against anybody out there about that, because everybody's got their own, they've got to answer to their own whatever they do eventually. So all I want to do is just wish you folks out there that's listening a very Merry Christmas and really good, safe holidays wherever you might want to go, and to be with your family and friends and just show your respect and love for them. and fellowship. That's what we really need, is just a lot of fellowship. Thank you.
Well, I couldn't say it any better than Bobby did, but I just want to say is repeat the same thing. Everybody have a very, very Merry Christmas and a safe and happy New Year's, and may 2018 be a good year for everybody.
Yes, a very good
And
year.
we're going to find Bigfoot in 2018.
Yes, yeah, that is our plan.
That's our plan.
I'd like to just...
My New Year's resolution, Bobby. You, me, and Mel, and maybe we'll get Bobo down here.
I'd like that.
Drag Ryan with us, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we'll get Reggie and Ryan there.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
We know Ryan's on the fence on that.
He won't be for long after this year.
And we're not trying to convince Ryan of anything. We're just thankful that he has us down here and let us kind of voice our opinions and
sit back and put up with us.
Actually, yeah, to really put up with us, because, you know, I'm just an old guy that talks a lot and appreciates being down here with them. You know, we missed that old Mel today. I don't know what he's doing. He's up there shopping, I think. And, you know, shopping, you get into Yakima and start shopping, it's just like being in Grand Central Station trying to pick up a 50-cent piece off the floor, see?
You don't want to bend over. Hey, Ryan, if you had been up there with Mel and I and you heard Bigfoot, what would your thoughts crossed your mind when you heard him?
I can't say until the day it happens, Lone Wolf.
Okay.
You know, I
fair enough.
Because that's what I would want to know. If Mel were here, I would want to know, do the two workers, did they say they had fear? Did they say they had a calmness? Did they say that they were terrified? Would the two workers be willing to come on the radio? And I'm assuming not, because we've talked about how just the subject sometimes will have people saying, I don't want people to think I'm crazy. You know, we've always said that.
You know, even not so much that is, I think people just have a fear of actually talking on the radio. The very first time I came on the air, I hated it. I was terrified. My mouth went dry. My hands were sweaty, and I was not having fun.
Now he's a pro.
Yeah,
and his feet started smelling. No, I sure glad you brought that up, Ryan, because I was thinking in those channels a little bit ago what the workers, what their whole agenda was on it, and it would be really good to be able to talk to the workers, and I don't know if Mel asked them any of those real personal questions or not, but you know, I know they're pretty personal to ask somebody, but you know, it's things that we would kind of like to know too.
Yeah.
And did they leave the scene right away, or did they stay and do the work that they were there doing? See, all of those things mean a lot to me, or mean a lot for me to know about, because I hear a lot of people say, well, I was so scared I couldn't even spit, or I had to run, or whatever. And I thought, you know, maybe I'm just dumb, but I'd like to be there and just try and make some kind of a friendly gestures to them and let them know that we're very interested in them and what they do, and we'd like to be able to communicate with them and not run from them and be scared. And if that happens, and if I do run, I'm going to say, well, I'm just full of BS. But, you know, that's the way I feel right at this present time. I'm an old man, and if I could get up there and one pick me up and throw me 50 feet, I figure I have it coming. But I don't have that fear. See, I don't think it would happen.
I agree with you too, Bobby. And on the other hand, I don't think we got a whole lot of run left in us. Everybody else might take off running. We're still behind the back of the pack. We might as well just stay there and face it. You know? Come on, big guy.
You better get out of my way, because I'm gonna run over you. No, anyway, you know, guys, I mean, we laugh about it when we're sitting in the studio here, but out there in the woods, it could be a whole different take. But that's just the way I feel at this present time.
Yeah.
And I wish a lot of people could not have fear of them. And, I don't know. If something 10 foot tall walked straight at me, whether I'd have enough bravery in my body to stand there, I don't really know. But I think I could. See, I keep thinking I could, and that's what I want to do. So I've thought about it many, many, many years. And I've just decided that if I could ever be able to be close to one and prove to it that I wasn't there trying to get pictures or evidence or harm it. The harm thing, the people that go out with a gun hanging on them, and I know there's other elements out there that you might need a gun for, but I'm probably going to say something that a lot of people laugh at. I think the Bigfoot will protect you.
I believe that if you think Bigfoot is not going to harm you, you're so pure of heart, and you truly believe he's not going to harm you. I don't think he has no malice in him. I don't think he wants to harm you. And I think you could just stand there and face him off and not be fearful.
I do too, Lone Wolf. I really believe that. And I hope that someday I'll get that.
I hope we do together.
Yes, sir. Yeah,
right.
I do too, Lone Wolf. Well, Ryan, it's too bad that we missed Mel today, because I feel that he was going to maybe bring us a Christmas present or something.
Well, he just missed out on his Christmas bonus today. He got to spend 2 days before Christmas with Bobby Gimlin.
Well,
I got my Christmas present. I got Bobby Gimlin here, and I got to tell him Merry Christmas.
And I got Lone Wolf and Ryan here.
There we go.
See,
that's all you need. And
to me, that's all I really need is to talk to Lone Wolf about his and Mel's experience up there. To me, that's just like music to my ears.
Yeah.
And I'm just a little envy because I wasn't able to be there.
Every time I hear stories like that, I'm jealous. I'm envious too.
Yeah,
I can't believe I wasn't there.
And I just appreciate Ryan having us down here on Friday afternoons to be able to talk out there and maybe I'd like, basically, everybody that's listening, I'd like to meet you in person myself, but I know it ain't ever going to happen. But by golly, I have that warm feeling that whoever's listening has got the same compassion for the things that I do. And so to me, that means a lot.
And maybe they will, after that, they'll come forward and want to share some of their stories with you and us.
I'd like that. I'd really like that. Get a hold.
That's kind of what we're all about,
Well, sure it is, and I really appreciate Ryan letting us come down and talk about what we think and what we'd like to do, and like your and Mel's experience up there.
1 second, okay? Well, you guys, we've been talking about Mel all this time.
He called.
Here he is. Yeah.
Mel, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Lone Wolf. Merry Christmas, Mr. Gimlin, if you're there.
Well, hey, I'm here. Merry Christmas to you, and I hope all your wishes come true.
Well, if that was, true, then I would be a happy man. But you can't be a happy man nowadays. You got to have problems.
Well, yeah, but Mel, that chair's empty, and we missed you here.
I'm sure Lone Wolf has got his feet on it right now.
Well,
I was keeping it warm for you, Mel.
Well, Lone Wolf's big old feet will rip that chair to pieces when he pulls them down. So it'd be better.
I know. Manicure time.
But anyway, Mel, hey, we missed you a lot today, and we hope whatever caused you to not be here was not bad. It was good for you, because we want you to have a really Merry Christmas and safe holidays. And Lone Wolf and I, and of course, I'm not going to speak for Ryan because he's a pretty quiet guy. He's a pretty neat guy to keep just let us roll off of what we want on our chest. But I'll tell you what, Lone Wolf we're planning to get out there in the spring and do something.
Oh yeah, you'll be retired by then. Yeah.
Yeah, and stand by the fire until we get lots of smoke on us, so we won't leave no nasty, smelly scent out there for the Bigfoot to track us down with.
Yeah, don't want to mix the scents out up there. So
absolutely, Mel.
Putrid and pungent don't go good together.
Yes, sir, Mel. Yes, sir, my friend.
That was the best one I heard all day. By golly, I'll tell you, that's a belly roller.
Yeah.
Putrid and pungent don't go good together on a bipedal.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
They don't go good in a radio station either.
I'll bet everybody turned their radios off on that one.
Just leave them alone.
That's why I'm calling in here, because I probably haven't.
Oh, we couldn't end the
yet.
year without it. Just leave them alone.
Yeah, hey,
Definitely
that's why I
not.
called in. Leave them alone.
Leave them alone.
Yeah.
Mel, any of your final thoughts or comments? We're done with the show, so you got the last words.
All righty. Well, yeah, I'm glad you guys accepted my call. Sorry I couldn't be there for. This is probably going to be the last show for 2017. So, Happy New Year to everybody out there, and Merry Christmas to everybody there in the room and on the reservation within listening distance. And thanks for accepting my call, and we'll see you guys in 2018.
Okay, Mel. We miss you, my friend. And we'll see you soon, okay?
All right.
Merry Christmas, Mel, and Happy New Year's, and get out of Yakima before you go broke.
Yeah. I'm not even in the state anymore, so.
Okay. Yeah, they kicked you out of the state already.
Yeah.
I think you made a good move, Mel. Anyway.
All right, Mel. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Mel.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, Mel, and really happy holidays.
All right, guys. Final thoughts.
Gosh, Ryan, thank you so much for allowing us to be here again this Friday, because it's just great. I can't remember who it was telling me. I always listen to that, and now it's been so long ago I can't remember who it was, but said they really enjoyed it. So I just hope everybody out there does. It's okay for them,
You're always welcome here, Bob.
Well, thank you, Ryan, because it is a pleasure to be down here and be with you guys.
Hey, Bobby, we're all extended family here. You know that.
Well, that's the way I look at it too.
Yeah.
See, I mean, it's just that way. We're just family.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys are my kids.
All right, Dad. Was I a good boy this year, Bobby?
Hey, Pops. Hey, Pops. Where's our Christmas present?
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yes.
Well, we better let you go. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
It's a still